I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to a Monday morning edition of Conversations with Al McFarlane. Launching today a regular Monday morning session. And what's motivating us is the need for our community to talk, to communicate, to share, to document our feelings, our thoughts, our stories, to create narratives that show us both at work and ultimately show us successful winning in creating community that is healthy, vibrant, productive, and that reflects our values and the contribution we make to community and to humanity. In my mind, this is a reinvention of the famous public policy forum at Lucille's Kitchen. We want to convene the community whole court, as it were, so that people, voices, issues, ideas are brought front and center for your edification, for your involvement, because your thoughts are important. What we want you to do, if you're connected right now by Facebook or Twitter or by YouTube, Instagram, is like this program and share it. And bookmark this for every Monday morning at 10 o'clock, Conversations with Al McFarlane, the Public Policy Forum. And it'll be live to Facebook, live to social media. Thanks to Al Flowers on the ground strategies for helping organize and promote this. Uh, we are able to monitor your questions and comments on Facebook and Instagram. If you've got a question or comment, just write it, or you can email it or send it to me or to Harry Colbert, my co-host here. Harry Colbert is the managing editor of Insight News. Harry, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. We're going to start off, Harry, talking with my friend and neighbor, your friend and neighbor, is John Jameson. We live about 3 or 4 blocks apart here in North Minneapolis. I can look out my window here and almost see your house, John. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. John Jameson is the chairman of the board of a storied neighborhood institution in North Minneapolis. It's Northside Residence Redevelopment Corporation. And the background, just so you know this, and this is why I'm always appreciative, very appreciative of the work that neighborhood organizations do. Insight News was actually founded with the support of Northside Residents Redevelopment Council back in 1976. So we owe our existence to NERC, Northside Residents Redevelopment Council, and also companion organizations in North Minneapolis. They were the Willard Homewood Organization, Hawthorne Area Community Council, and the Jordan Neighborhood Association. All of those put the funding up that allowed Insight to launch as a newspaper serving North Minneapolis in 1976. A bit of history. Well, today the question at hand is the impact of the COVID-19 crisis on our neighborhoods and our community. And Harry, I'm going to ask you to sort of give a background what the numbers are right now, because they are challenging, they're daunting. And our goal is to simply be aware and keep community aware. And this morning we'll be joined by other people in community. We're looking to have Alicia Smith, who's at Corcoran Neighborhood, join the conversation. Mary Merrill Anderson, former commissioner and executive director for the Minneapolis Parks Board, is now acting director of Sabathani Community Center. She'll be on the call as well. And we're expecting that at some point in time, in the next hour, we'll be joined by Commissioner John Harrington, who heads the Department of Public Safety, state of Minnesota. Great people, great ideas. And again, if you're listening, watching on Facebook, like this conversation, share it, start a watch party, let people know we're talking right now and that we want you to be in the conversation. Harry, start off with some background. What's the story now, the numbers on COVID-19?
In Minnesota, the numbers are getting worse. We are now at 3,602 confirmed cases within the state. Of that, 272 people have perished, and that's up basically 72 from just this past weekend. In terms of understanding kind of an ethnic background, 52% of those who have been confirmed are Caucasian or white, and There is 13% that are Black, and that's 493 total cases. The kind of real number here that we're trying to figure out, there's a breakdown within ethnicity and it's unknown. And 20% of the cases are unknown. So that's 723 people who we, for whatever reason, don't have proper ethnicity identification on. In terms of,
What that probably means is they're not white.
mhm,
Probably.
yeah,
For sure.
yeah. In Hennepin County, that's the hot spot, which makes sense. It's the most populous county in the state, but it's far outpacing every other place in the state. There are 1,332 known cases within Hennepin County. And I will drill down to Ramsey County just shortly here. And in Ramsey County, there are 278 cases. And in fact, Ramsey's not even the second largest. The county down in where Nobles County,
Nobles County, yeah.
yeah, where the Worthington food processing plant is,
Mm-hmm.
they have 352 confirmed cases, and that's almost all related to that one factory.
Packing house there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Harry. Let me bring John Jameson in. John, thanks again for joining the conference this morning. We want to talk about what neighborhoods can do, what neighborhoods are doing. First of all, any impressions as you try to maintain leadership at this organization? What all are you doing at NERC to make sure that the organization can still be responsive to the needs of community?
Yeah, I think, Al, it's interesting that we kind of stay within our mission. A big part of NERC's footprint is around housing, and really we kind of housing was important prior to COVID, and housing is
Mm-hmm.
important now with COVID, so we are still working in those areas in regards to what we can do around helping residents with whatever resources that we can provide from a housing perspective. So that's going to be first and foremost, with the effects. And so I know we released, there were some funding that came out through the city. We made sure that we were able to get those out. And matter of fact, I just put a link out here for the audience that can be shared to make sure folks have it. But there are some gap funds that they're taking applications with the city of Minneapolis right now for renters, and that's going to run through the 27th.
That's today or May 27th? Through May 27th or through today?
Through today.
Through today. So if they need to get that, you have to act today on it, right? Describe what that assistance is. What kind of renter assistance is there?
So basically it's going to be, there's funds out there that are, per household based on income and, household income. And I think it ranges roughly about $1,500 to $2,000 per household. There's an application that folks can fill out. It's a pretty short application. If they go to that link, they can just kind of fill it out pretty quickly. And it's also in different languages as well. So they can still apply, through today. It started on April 22nd. So, we put that out, and that's one of the communications that we've kind of worked on. The other thing that we're doing, Al, is, really trying to be a little bit of a listener in regards to what residents are kind of wanting in their needs. One of the areas that we're trying to figure out ways to kind of help people out is our need that's out there that we know about is kind of elderly folks needing possible, transportation and, safe transportation back and forth from, the store trips and or maybe even getting, groceries, kind of personal shopper kind of scenario. So they don't put themselves in situations where they could possibly encounter getting COVID-19. So
I
those are
just got
things that
a
are
note,
kind of,
a note from Tanya, who says, "Can you please help me with finances? I have to pay weekly rent and don't have it because I got laid off from my job in March." So what can Tanya do? Thanks, Tanya, for your comment on Facebook.
yeah. So I think that one, I think that she needs to go into the city resources in regards to any kind of housing assistance. But one, I would try to go out and get that, maybe apply to that loan that we just put on as a link through the city of Minneapolis, and see what she can possibly you know get an opportunity to take advantage of one of those opportunities online. What else did you say there, Al? I'm sorry, the rest of
She
the question.
said, "Can you please help me with finances? Question mark. I have to pay weekly rent. I don't have it because I got laid off from my job in March." And I think that was the end of her comment. Let me open it up, see if there's more. Well, that's all that I see right here. Yeah, so that was her comment.
Yeah, so weekly rents, or any rents, we don't, NERC as an organization doesn't have funds for that. But I would say that there are, some city resources that you might be able to tap into. And the first thing that I would do is I would reach out to, the city of Minneapolis and take it, see if you can get these possible funds because your income was reduced, and kind of start there for sure. So.
Okay, Tanya, hope you heard that. Call the city, and they've got some gap funding for rent relief. And if you laid off, you got to be falling in that category. Give a call. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane, our special edition, our beginning of our weekly session, Mondays at 10 o'clock. We're going to be gathering every week. We want to reprise the Lucille's Kitchen experience where our community met, discussed important issues, and presented ideas, leaders, and residents of our community. We want to do that here online. Online is the new way of convening. And right now I'm talking with my colleague, my friend and neighbor, John Jameson. He's the chairman of Northside Residents Redevelopment Council. John, take a minute and give people who might not know sort of a NERC 101. What's the background to the degree that you can do it? I know I haven't prepared you for this, but just a general story on the history of NERC and what's NERC's particular general role in the community.
Well, NERC is organization that's been around now almost 50 years. I believe we're going to get our 50th year relatively soon, and we have our focus is primarily on the housing side of things, improving the neighborhood, and the economic and social and environmental aspects of what we live within near North and Willard Hay. And roughly that area is pretty much all the way almost down to Highway 55, all the way over to roughly the Parkway on both sides. So the Theodore Worth Park on the west side of town, and heading east almost all the way over to 7th, roughly around 7th Street. It kind of veers over, and all the way up to the west side of Broadway. So it's a pretty good size area, and with a bunch of great residents and a lot of different varying degrees of incomes, and pretty from North Minneapolis standpoint, I would say a very historic area as it relates to Minneapolis and the overall history of kind of our Black existence in North Minneapolis for quite some time, as we kind of populated these areas here in North. I think it's probably important for folks to, if you're not aware of NERC, to come out to our website at nrrc.org, and allows folks to. What's great about our organization, it allows you to get involved, or for residents to get involved in what's going on with the city in which they live in, at the grassroots level. Any development that's going on in the community, it doesn't matter if it's a residential home, or renters, someone who's looking at moving into the neighborhood and maybe doing a development or buying a house or getting involved in real estate somehow, some way. If they're doing a development to that house, it might, based on what you're doing, it might come to NERC for us to one, and maybe advise on and or sign off on possible approvals, or where residents would approve of you doing particular things like variances to your actual structure and or property. The other part of it is larger developments that are taking place here in the city. We at NERC, we try to get it out to residents so they're aware of it, and coordinate engagement meetings where you can actually talk to city officials. We can try to force or at least have a chance to communicate our issues or things that might arise from a particular development. Our concerns, is it meeting the needs of our residents that we have here near North, and we need to have a voice in the community in which we reside in, and NERC helps us to do that from a very civil way and a relatively democratic way, I would say. And we also want to be a resource, as much as we can for community in those areas around, housing, residential, whatever type of ways that our community needs us. And hopefully we can keep growing, and we can do more in the areas that we work in. I don't know, that's quite a bit. I don't know that.
No, that's great. That's great background. Let me take it from the organizational to the personal. You've lived in North Minneapolis for a number of years, I think, right? How long have you lived here in North Minneapolis?
I've been a resident of North Minneapolis now for 25 years.
And so a long time.
Very happy and very proud of it, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah. How has the neighborhood changed from your point of view, and how is it changing? What is the future of North Minneapolis?
Wow.
Let me throw some big questions out to you, and you can respond any way you want to, wherever you want to. This is a conversation, right?
Absolutely.
And so I'm always curious as to people's vision. What is John Jameson's vision of building community? What do you want for your family, for yourself? And how do you see that coming to fruition? Are you generally pessimistic or optimistic about the community? Do you have feelings about density, for example? NERC is involved in housing, and there are at least several streams of thought, one of which says, a lot of open space here, it's dense enough. There's another stream of thought that says we need more people in North Minneapolis. We don't have enough people to support a viable commercial experience here. So what are your general thoughts about where we are, where we've been, and what we can possibly evolve towards as North Minneapolis?
Yeah, so I think I think going back to from my perspective, what I've seen and experienced in North really come off the kind of the backs of a lot of the work that a lot of the families here in near North have worked hard to develop and keep North Minneapolis as livable and really a community. And there was a lot of work that had been done throughout the 50s and 60s, even the 70s here in this neighborhood, where a lot of really great residents, homeowners of a wide range of people and diverse backgrounds, which is amazing to me. And it's also has been home to new residents that are, coming from, coming from all different parts of the country, migrating in the near north first, the first stop, kind of, so to speak. And for me, that was a rich community. I'm only a few streets down from where Prince lived in the neighborhood, and valuable things that have happened in the community. I'm just very blessed to be a part of it. But at the same time, I think we have the needs that are wants that most people want in any neighborhood, which we want good schools. We've near north, we've kind of struggled with that. It would be good for us to have better schools that are more funded, well funded for our community. And that's a census note that I think everyone has to make sure that we're doing. I was a little plug for census, but to make sure dollars are coming into our community, that helps to expand our resources. North Minneapolis, we're always light on resources because of our tax base or things like that. But at the same time, we have tons of potential. We have a very entrepreneurial community that I think needs to grow. And we have great opportunities for that, but we also have the flip side where we lack more investment going on in the community. So moving forward, Al, I would love to see a stronger investment in a rich community that has monumental opportunities based on the people that are here, residents that are here, not income, but just resource. I think that is critical. And if we can get dollars here to support not only residents for entrepreneurship, small business, and the only thing that's going to do is help lift up the rest of the tides in regards to what we have for housing. To your point about density, I think it's important that we know what that means. As residents, I think there's varying degrees of either support or maybe not so support. It's going to be a change in our community to some degree as we move forward in that thought about density. Again, I think that it's important for residents to get involved, and you can do that through NERC. We meet every month. Now we're meeting on Zoom, like we're meeting
like this, yeah.
Today. But normally we have them, they're public meetings. Anyone can come out as a resident or even non-resident and come to our meetings. I hope that what we can do and as residents and recruit people that move into the neighborhood, encourage folks that are here, maybe renters that live here, to start to pursue more home ownership. As you know, during the crisis in 2008, we lost a lot of ownership from the Black community in near north that had been here for quite some time. We all lost neighbors during that time frame. I think with this COVID, not quite sure, but we already know that there's a housing shortage in all of the metro. So most residents are looking for places to buy relatively affordable homes. And as you know, near north has always been somewhat affordable, but that's starting to change quickly. So I think it's important for folks to, if they can, to get in while they can and while it's relatively affordable. But the density thing, that's gonna begin to expand. Hopefully not, too quickly, because I think we have to. There's a lot of growing pains when you start adding people.
Well, my question, John Jameson, on the density question is, what are the pros and cons? And let me frame it this way. When I drive over south on Hennepin and Lake or along Lake Street, and even on Franklin Street, I see all these apartment buildings going up. I drive across 28th Street where the Greenway is, Midtown Greenway.
Yes.
And that is lined with apartment buildings. You don't really see them so much from the street, but there's a whole different community. And so all of those people in those multiple units, multiple housing units, means, I think it means paychecks, incomes, people buying groceries, people buying bicycles, people sending kids to school. But a lot of people just means a lot of money, a lot of movement. And is that something we're lacking? Is that something that we want in North Minneapolis? Or do you feel our community wants the relative quiet of most of the streets, say off of Plymouth Avenue, that are really beautiful? We've got beautiful neighborhoods all over North Minneapolis. Uh, are we willing to sacrifice that, or can we do both? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely, that's a valid point in regards to, what happens as density begins to increase. And it is something that we're going to have to really kind of keep an eye on, and as residents, try to make sure that we're doing things, differently, maybe than what happened in South Minneapolis. But I think that, it's, you kind of want, we want the good things that density brings, hopefully, as it relates to more amenities, you know, but at the same time, there is a trade-off, for those things. I personally, I kind of like North Minneapolis being relatively quieter myself. I can actually ride my bike, down Plymouth Avenue, and not be overly concerned that there's so much traffic that I'm kind of freaked out, on my bike. But it's not like riding down Lake Street,
Right.
And it's kind of been a little bit of a hidden gem for quite some time, and I think it's inevitable that now that the cost of real estate has gone up so significantly, and North Minneapolis kind of is the last bastion of hope for folks to get that opportunity. I really do believe, though, that again, residents being involved and trying to help steer what the development is happening in North, so it's more inclusive. Having a watchful eye on those things that are important as people are working on trying to, grow this density opportunity that, in part, obviously by the city, who's very interested in this, because there's really, we have a lot of people coming here, and there's a lot of people want to live in the city, and their commutes and all these other things that are demands that people are wanting, and that's why it's kind of inevitable that it's probably it will happen. But I go back to being involved, and we can try to maneuver and make things, keeping green space as much as we can, protecting our green space.
Mhm.
Thank God we have a park system, adjacent really closely to near North. That's unbelievable. And if you don't take in the parks, please do. But that's a great park system. Hopefully that that doesn't get affected by this. But and getting into the property areas and really trying to voice our opinions as residents and helping to steer that, I think, is going to be the our opportunity to keep it what we can as it moves forward.
I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane, our regular Monday morning public policy town hall. Pleased to have my colleague and neighbor and my friend, John Jameson. He's the chairman of the board of Northside Residents Redevelopment Council. And we're launching this by talking about neighborhood, and particularly neighborhood in the time of COVID-19. But John, one of the things that I wanted you to do is talk about the unique structure of NERC. You've got a wonderful method for recruiting and ensuring grassroots neighborhood involvement. You hold regular elections that you promote, and people sign up and are elected to serve on your board from different neighborhoods. I think there are like 9 different neighborhoods that make up NERC. Am I correct with that?
Well, actually, NERC is, yeah, you're talking about the districts that are here?
Your districts inside NERC, right, that you elect people from to serve on your board.
Correct. So the overall structure of NERC, I'm sorry, hold on a second here. Oh, I'm sorry, Al. What I was going to say is that from a NERC structure, we have our districts. And again, if you go out to the NERC districts, there's actually 2 representatives from each district. And so that encompasses the entire NERC board. And we do meet every month, once a month, and it's actually the 3rd Monday of the month. And you can get our newsletter through our email. You can basically sign up for it, or you can also check us out at our NERC Facebook page as well to get any information. And our meetings are, really structured meetings. And typically in the meetings, we, discuss a myriad of problems that are issues, or they're not necessarily problems. Really, they're really a lot of communication going on what's possibly happening in the city, in those within our districts. And there's a district map on our website, so you can, if you go out to the nrc.org, you can actually take a look at the map on that site and look at all the districts, so you can see them in the entirety. But again, 2 representatives from each district that participate on our board. In our meetings, we discuss a myriad of things. They roughly last about an hour to 2 hours, based on the the agenda that we have, and we do that 12 months a year.
All right, good. I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane, the relaunch of the Public Policy Forum. We intend to be here with you every Monday morning, bringing neighborhood leaders, friends, residents, political leaders, business leaders to have a conversation. Today, we're pleased to have John Jameson, who is the chairman of the board of Northside Residents Redevelopment Council. And we hope to be joined still by some other colleagues of his in other parts of the city. We're learning the technology as we go, but we're glad to have this way to reach out and connect with each other using Zoom and other technology platforms. You mentioned that you can reach NERC on Facebook and on your website. How important is it that you all can keep the neighborhood connected, number one? Number two, what discussions are you having, if any? You mentioned to start with, but about COVID-19. What are you hearing from your neighbors and from your friends and your family, John, about how people are either following or able to follow the recommended, sheltering and staying at home? What are you hearing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we've been folks have kind of reached out to myself, actually, and even other members of the board, are issues around kind of the needs of kind of shopping, getting the store from the elderly residents. We've heard that as kind of being a little bit of an issue that needs to figure out ways and find resources to, help support those residents in that area. And the issue around, still around housing. We're falling into these months where, we just hit another, I don't know what day it is, 50 some odd days now of the shutdown. And, it's, I think like anyone, landlords are getting a little antsy, wanting to get their rents. We're not quite sure. A lot of residents aren't in the best rental situation.
Great.
So they're trying to move and do these sort of things, and this is a tough time to try and move. So we're kind of hearing some issues around people needing to find places. About now it's first of the month, and that happens. But it's kind of happening a little bit more because it's kind of a trickle down. Based on where we already were in our particular economy. Al, I think we're hearing the same things that we're hearing a lot of places in near north. Because we're affected, by poverty, and people that are disenfranchised, and the outcomes of COVID have done the same things in North Minneapolis as it's been doing kind of all throughout the country. We're seeing it in maybe smaller numbers right now, but it's still happening, and we really don't know how widespread this is as it relates to issues around access to healthcare. Obviously financial issues, maybe not even having insurance, things like that are greatly affecting residents. In addition to people with underlying health issues that are concerned. I think that keeping on our email that we put out, we're trying to keep people aware of just the basics in regards to doing the things they need to try to keep themselves safe.
Yeah.
And in our community there was a lot of disinformation that's being put out there, so I think it's still important for folks to get access and seek out good information that is supported, and it's not some weird thing that it's you got to have good resources in regards to the information that you're getting, and don't just take it because it was on Facebook as the gospel.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one thing you did say early on too is that there are resources for renters. I'm going to ask you to go over that before we close one more time. If you could have that discussion again to let people know that today is the deadline for at least this round of renter assistance in the city of Minneapolis. Describe that again, if you would, and invite people to, if they know somebody or if they themselves are in need, to take the action today to perhaps get some help with rent.
Yeah, so the city of Minneapolis has an application that you can fill out, and it's a pretty quick application. And I sent over the link in our chat here, Al, so it can be shared on Facebook, and folks can access it. But it's gap funding. It's good through Monday, which is today, April 27th. And it's anywhere to roughly $1,500 to $2,000, and it's going to be based on their income. And the form kind of outlines it, and it's a quick form, so there's not a whole bunch of information that you really have to put in there. And it's in all the languages, so if you need it to be in a different language, it's probably out there. And it can help you with some rent assistance in regards to some funds. I'm not sure. I know it was roughly about $3 million was the dollar amount that was there. As they're probably getting tons and tons of applications.
Right.
But I would get mine in still
Today
if you need it, and I know a lot of people do. So that can help you possibly with some of your rent for the next month. The other thing I would say as it relates to rent, I would say it's probably a good time for, you should always be in touch with your landlord, and hopefully your landlord is listening to what the mandate is from, the governor for the state. And if that's not being done, then I would probably be reaching out to, the city, and if need be, the attorney general.
Right.
Is,
There should be no evictions
absolutely,
currently, and people
absolutely.
oughtn't have to worry about, even if they were given extensions on their rent or mortgage payments, you shouldn't have to worry about being hit with a balloon the day after the emergency is over, and therefore being at risk of being kicked out because they can't make the big payment. There are resources and policies in place to protect consumers in general, renters in particular. Speaking of which, John, I've also been watching and hearing that people should call all of their credit cards, for example, because most credit cards and bank loans or mortgage payments are allowing you to defer your payment for a month or two or three, because they recognize that this is an extraordinary time for our community and for workers and income earners. So if you've got a situation where you've got your monthly payments due for either your credit cards, your utilities, your bank notes, etc., the key, as John Jameson just said, is to call your lenders, call the people that you owe, and explain your situation. Tell them that you're looking to just get some time because the situation means that you're not working, not making any money, and you've got to, sort of uh, keep everything together. So I think that the business environment, the banking and the credit card industries, car payment industries, they're all being receptive and giving people a month or two, not a holiday, but a break, so that you don't have to sweat what you're going to do or risk losing your car, losing your house, losing your apartment, or getting your credit jacked up because you didn't have income, and that was based on the COVID-19 pandemic challenge to all of us as a community. Beyond that, John, thank you so much for being here. I think the neighborhoods and the neighborhood movement is historic and important, and I thank you and NERC for what you all are doing. Your newsletter is excellent. Your website is a wonderful resource. I'll let you invite people to join the information chain, your newsletter and your website, so that they can be part of the NERC experience. And I agree with you. I've lived here in North Minneapolis a few years more than you, I think, but this is a great place to live. I love living here, and I want it to grow and be all it can be as a community. I think it's doable. And I think we got I think at the other end of this COVID-19, we're going to be discovering new capabilities in us individually and in community. How do we organize and make sure that our voices are heard, make sure that we are at the table when public policy decisions are being made, so that our interest and our well-being are front and center, and that we have the chance to lay claim on the resources we need on public dollars, and therefore be able to attract and direct private dollars, investment, so that we can create jobs for our own people right here in our neighborhood. I remember, John, how proud I was when Beck Horton, for instance, opened up Microtron down on Washington Avenue. Actually, it was in the old CDC building where the Housing Authority is now. Then it moved over to the building it built on Washington Avenue. But the beautiful thing was that you drive by there and you'd see 30, 40, 50 new and semi-new cars in the parking lot of this building. And you knew that a lot of those cars belonged to people that lived across the street, around the corner, down the street from you. So here was something that was a microcosm of the community, neighborhood, financial, economic experience. An entrepreneur created a product and a business, built it, hired hundreds of people from this neighborhood, and these people got good paychecks, bought cars, bought houses, sent their kids to school, paid their tithes at church, had fun at the bars and clubs, whatever people do in community. That's what they were able to do because the jobs were right here. These were jobs in our neighborhood, created by our people for our people. I hope that that is what lies ahead for our community. And John, I think that what you guys are doing at NERC is important in making that so. So thank you so much. Any more comments or invitations to people to come to and support the NERC initiative?
Yeah, first off, Al, I want to definitely, thank you for, inviting us to, inviting me and NERC an opportunity to come on and be a part of your conversations. And it's, I've been knowing you, for quite some time, and you've always had been a very strong advocate of the community in this North Side, and I appreciate that, and I feel very honored to have this opportunity and be at the seat at NERC to help it do the things that it's doing in the community, as well. And I would echo your thoughts in regards to, the growth that are the potential and kind of from what we came from here in Near North to where we can go in the future as it relates to entrepreneurship, having businesses that are multiple businesses in Near North that are feeding families, and we are doing it. We are entrepreneurs here, and I think there's more opportunity for more growth in Near North, for that. I'm super excited to see where that goes. Last, I would like to say, just folks, please just adhere to what's going on in as it relates to COVID-19, and do what we can. This gives us an opportunity to reconnect with our own households, our families that are within our households. We're a go-go society, and now I know my mama used to say, sometimes you need to just sit down.
That's right. That's right.
And this gives us an opportunity to really sit down and sit across the table and eat and have dinner with the family and not have to be running out to go do whatever. I know we all kind of are wanting to get back to some sort of near normalcy and socialized life, but at the same time, I think it's an opportunity to take a look at where we are with our existing families that are right here under our individual roofs, and even grow. Take an opportunity to pick up art, or maybe pick up that instrument sitting in the corner collecting dirt. I know social media is some people's outlet, but also there's other things that we can do. Go out and enjoy the nature. In Near North, we live right by a great park. We have great park systems. I think we all want to, exercise. And Al, I know you've been on a strong exercise kick over the last, few years. And we all know how important that is, for our health as well. Not only physical health, but mental health. Do the things that we need to do or can do to support our mental health. This is not going to go away anytime soon, from the way it looks. And, we are going to have a different society to some degree, but we also have to figure out what do we do as a community to grow and flourish in wherever we're at with whatever society that's here. As a community, we'll grow, we will be here. So again, thanks a lot, Al, for inviting me out, and I'm glad I'm so short-winded.
No, you're perfect, man. So thank you so much. John Jameson, the chairman of the board of Northside Residents Redevelopment Council, NRRC. We call it NERC, and it's a legacy institution in North Minneapolis and in the Twin Cities. Thank you for being here, John Jameson. Thank you for your work and for the work and success of NERC. Join me here again next week, next Monday. We're going to continue the Public Policy Forum. We hope to have additional guests today, but that's the beauty of social media. We can come back live at any time to bring different voices, different ideas to your attention in conversation with you. Thanks to Underground Strategies for helping organize this event, and thanks to everyone for what we're doing together, working together in our homes and in community to make sure that we are safe and that we prosper. And we're looking at lights at the end of the tunnel, and I believe we're going to come out stronger and better for it. Condolences, though, for all the people that have been victims, both here and around the country, to the COVID-19, the coronavirus, and our appreciation, deep appreciation to the first responders, people at North Point Health and Wellness, Hennepin County Medical Center, North Memorial, to all the fire and police officials, the people that are doing the work in the alleys, picking up garbage, just a lot of people doing stuff that has to be done. And even our applause to the businesses that want to open, but have to do it safely and when it's appropriate. They want to serve you and they want to support you and need your support as well. So think community, think business, think safety, think education, our children, our families, ourselves, and let's visualize a more perfect community as we address the question, the challenge of COVID-19. I'm Al McFarlane. Join me here again next Monday, 10 o'clock, for a public policy forum, town hall meeting. I'm going to reprise Lucille's Kitchen. This is the place. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you. Okay.